Welcome back to the ADSA Scientific Sessions. I'm here with my co-hosts, Dr. Pete Morrow and Dr. Jeff Elliott. Also, our guest is Jair Parales Giron. This is your second trip to the Real Science Exchange. Thank you very much for coming back for us again. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries. So listen, you gave a, have you given your presentation yet? Or, yeah.
I gave my presentation
Yes.
yesterday.
So can you kind of give us an overview of the objective of that presentation, or the trial that led to the presentation? Sure.
So we were focused on checking if there could be any interactions between starch content of the diet and fatty acid supplementation in early lactation cows. So we used two different starch content, 22% as a low starch content and 28% as a high starch content, using dry ground corn for playing with the starch content of the diet. And we fed a 70-20 fatty acid supplement, 70% palmitic acid and 20% oleic acid at 2% of the diet dry matter. And we did different treatments. We did like the low starch, no fat, high starch, no fat, low starch plus fat, and high starch plus fat. So those were our 4 treatments.
So what was the hypothesis? What led you to believe that there might be an interaction between starch and the fatty acids?
Our idea was checking those possible interactions, and we were trying to prove the hypothesis that fatty acid supplementation will increase or would increase the yields of fat at meal in the low starch diet, because that diet was like had a lower energy content, energy level. And on the other side, that the fatty acid supplementation would increase the energy partition into body energy reserves in the high starch diet because of the high energy content of that diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you see that?
We did see the effect in the low starch diet, but in the high starch diet, it's like we didn't see any effects on body weight. But also those results are in line with some previous results that we have shown from our lab using that 70-20 fatty acid supplement compared to control diets, because Jonas de Souza and Dr. Locke, they did a study checking the effect of different inclusion levels of oleic acid in a fatty acid blend. They checked the 80-10 palmitic oleic, 70-20 and 60-30. They found that increasing the oleic acid in that blend has a linear effect in decreasing body weight loss during that period. But if you see the means from the control treatment and the 70-20, they were the lines and how the variable behave in those two treatments were pretty close.
So do you have a hypothesis on your results where you saw the tendency for the fat to increase milk in the low starch, but no effect on the high starch?
Our idea, it was that probably there could be an increase in energy partitioning, or probably in our case there was no effect of the treatments on body weight loss, and that coincides with some things that we have seen before as well. So always we are trying to say, okay, probably there could be an additive effect, and both treatments, I don't know, both inclusions could, I don't know, improve potentially the animal response. But in our case was like, okay, we didn't see any effect on body weight loss, and I think that's something that is positive as well.
Hey, real quick, I did you a disservice. I failed to mention that you are from Michigan State University, working out of Adam Locke's lab. So I wanted to make sure I got that in there. My apologies.
No, it's okay. Go green, go white.
Exactly.
Can you comment about the high levels of really milk fat percent in these cows?
Yeah.
It was almost shocking when you read the abstract.
It's shocking, but actually in MSU we've been working a lot on doing genetic selection and improving our herd. And those are the results that from that kind of work that we've been doing as well. Yeah. Also, yes, our diets, and that's something that our farm manager is always happy when we are gonna do and studying transition cows because always our diets are rocking compared to the diets that they usually use, even our control diets. So yeah, but that's the result of the selection that we've been doing, and also the help of our nutritionists as well. So we've been doing the work together, not only genetics, but also nutrition.
Yeah. So Scott, you may not have seen it, but I think the milk fat was 4.6%, 4.7.
Yes.
So they were extremely high.
Yes.
And had high proteins. Your proteins were 3.3 plus.
Protein levels, yes, those were high, but also those results are consistent with the results that I have been seeing in all my studies, because I am focused on transition studies, and I did a previous study checking chromium supplementation and fat supplementation, and the levels, the protein levels and the fat levels, similar levels, so it's consistent.
Were you surprised that the starch level, the higher starch level, didn't affect milk protein more? It said there was no difference in milk protein.
Yeah, no protein, and actually there is a tendency to reduce the protein content with the starch, the high starch diet, and we think that is just a dilution effect, because the main effect of starch was in favor of increasing milk yield.
Okay. So I've got to ask, we talked earlier before we sit down, but you said you got this question yesterday as well. The starch content of your close-up ration.
Yeah, we try to keep that thing as low as possible. So it was ranging between 18 and 19%.
18 and 19?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you think there's any effect going from a 18 to a 22% starch ration, and an 18 to a 28 was your other starch? Was there any interaction there?
I think that there probably could be an effect, but unfortunately, I don't recall studies doing like that kind of arrangement of treatments for seeing the timing of supplementation of high starch and low starch. But also you want to keep low starch as low as possible during the close-up period, you know, because everything related to the hepatic oxidation theory, if you're gonna have higher starch, you could increase propionate, and you could decrease dry matter intake, and that's something that we don't wanna have during that period. So yeah, so I think we play safe. Because we were having cows that would be eating a high amount of starch during the treatment period, so it was playing safe for avoiding any confusion effects as well.
When you're enrolling these cows, do you get a say over what this transition diet is, or is kind of the standard MSU diet until they freshen?
Yeah, usually we do some tweaks. We ask to our nutritionist, okay, what are you doing right now? So okay, if we've been seeing that historically there is something that is not working correctly with the close-up diet, if we need to, I don't know, decrease phosphorus, increase the DCAT or something like that, that's the time that we do the adjustments. And usually when do those adjustments, the farm keeps using our adjustments for the close-up diet. Yeah.
So my last question, I'm going out to a dairy tomorrow, let's say it's 5,000 cows, and they want to know, what's the guideline on starch and fat in those fresh cows? Where do I need to be?
Yeah, I guess the most important result is the interaction, and seeing that fat is having different effects in a low starch and in a high starch diet. So if you are not able to have, I don't know, too much energy or high in a low starch diet, yes, fatty acid supplementation could work for you, because it was an increase in fat yield, and yes, we had a tendency for increasing energy corrected milk, but also it's because having a 2x2 factorial is bringing more noise, and probably that result that was a tendency, just having two treatments could be significant, you know. So in a low starch diet, I would say yes, use fat. In a high starch diet, I would say you need to check the fatty acid profile as well of the supplement that you'll be using. We did use a 70-20, so we had oleic, and calcium salts are not complete rumen protected, so you are going to have some degradation, some liberation of the fatty acids, and we know that unsaturated fatty acids could have some effect on rumen fermentation parameters. So you need to exert or be careful with your choices. So yeah, if you have high starch, keep working with the high starch, because we saw a main effect of high starch. But if you are in some circumstances that you don't have the opportunity to have high starch, fatty acid supplementation could be a tool for increasing energy corrected milk.
Here, thank you for joining us once again. This is your second trip here, as we mentioned before. So what are you working on now, and what can we, what kind of a preview can you give us for next year?
I just finished my third study, part of my dissertation. We were checking whole cotton seed inclusion and fatty acid supplementation, because everything in my dissertation is based on transition cows. So my first study was checking chromium and fatty acid supplementation and seeing if there would be possible interactions. My second study is the one that I just talked, the starch and fatty acid supplementation. This one was like 2 different ways for feeding fat and see if there is an interaction there. And the upcoming study, I think, is the most ambitious one, because we'll be checking essential amino acids and 3 different inclusion levels of fatty acids.
Good.
So it's gonna be a big one. So yeah, I am excited.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, and probably next year I'll be here again.
All right, thank you.
Talking to you guys.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.